Boom. And just like that, we are underway. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining me. It is Scripting Friday here on the Agent Power Huddle. My name is Ed Laine. I'm a broker up here in Seattle, which you may be able to tell by the Space Needle in my background. And today, it's October 3rd. So we're going to be talking about holiday scripting. And if you're not sure what that is, I'm going to tell you. And no, it's not, hey, do you want to come to my Christmas party? So here's the thing. Sellers need to sell whenever it is they need to sell. But most sellers know or believe that the holidays is a terrible time to sell. It's pretty straightforward, right? The fact of the matter is, lots of houses sell in October, November, and particularly in December. So we're going to talk through how to talk to somebody to get an understanding of what their sense of urgency is so that you can be the solution, right? So the first thing is you want to tread lightly. You want to make sure that you're listening carefully rather than dictating, right? Because if I lead with, yeah, it's a terrible time, but they're in a situation where they need to sell, I'm no longer the broker for them, right? Or if I push to sell in the fourth quarter, but they don't really need to, again, I'm not the broker for them, because what are they going to think? They think I'm going to get them less money than the broker who's better at being patient, right? I'm all about the commission check, right? So that's what I mean by tread lightly. Excuse me. I flew to Dallas this week and had the pleasure of catching a cold on the plane. It was awesome. So what you want to do is understand their needs and their timing and their urgency and get that out of them before you start offering an opinion. But that's not always easy, right? Because a lot of times somebody finds out you're a realtor and they hit you with this question right out of the gates. It's a bad time to sell, isn't it? Right? You want to have an answer for that. So here's your answer. Not necessarily. Did you know that December is my third highest month of the year for sales volume? And they look at you like, you're crazy. How is that possible? So analyze your sales stats, add them up your entire career, and see which months you sell the most homes in. And I'll guarantee you that December will be near the top half, at least. For me, it's number 3. And that's because I don't take the fourth quarter off like a lot of people do. So here's a little side note for you. Don't take the fourth quarter off. You position your business for the coming year by hustling. It doesn't mean I don't have fun with my family and I don't go to Christmas parties and enjoy the holidays, but I don't just shut down, right? I gain market share, and you can too. So I would encourage you to do that. That's why I sell a lot of homes in the last month of the year. And they go, it is? It is your third highest month? Yeah, because people that are in the market at that time of year tend to be in the market because they need to be in the market, right? They are motivated to do something before the end of the year. So tell me, what's your circumstance? Do you need to sell before the end of the year, or could you wait? That's how I olay or punt it's a terrible time to sell, isn't it? And get into that depends. What's your circumstance? Right? And then they'll say, well, we would like to sell before the end of the year, but we don't have to. Or they would say, yeah, we need to sell before the end of the year. Or they'd say, no, I prefer to have one last set of holidays before we move. That's not an uncommon response. It's similar to folks that say, we want to spend one more summer in our home, right? Those are all things that are allowed, right? It's their asset. They get to decide. So what happens now in step 3 is I get to be flexible, dependent on how they answered my question, right? So if they say, yeah, we kind of need to sell, that's easy. No problem. I can help make that happen and make sure you get as much as possible for your home. So remember at the beginning, I said, if I indicate in any way that the fourth quarter is a bad time and I end up being in front of this person, they're going to move on. But because I didn't do that, and instead, once I figured out they were this type of person, I said, no problem. I can help make sure that happens and get you the most amount of money. Now I am their guy, right? So it's not super complicated, but it's subtle. I want to hold off their question about it's a terrible time and not truly answer it. And then I want to find out, you tell me, do you need to sell or not? Does that make sense? Right? What if they say we could do either? I had 2 of these last year or this year, January of this year, but the conversations were October, November of last year. Here's how that one sounds. Well, if you can wait until after the first of the year, we list lots of homes on the 3rd Thursday of January every year. And they look at you like, I've never heard anyone say that. I say it all the time, every year. The 3rd Thursday of January is an absolute goldmine for us. Because of this, these conversations start in October. And the consumer will tell you, well, we'd like to sell before the end of the year, but not if it means we're going to sell it for less money. We can wait. Well, if you can wait until after the first of the year, we list lots of homes on the 3rd Thursday of January. You see, buyers tend to wake up on January 1st, probably hungover, right? And they have their phone in their hand. So they start scrolling. And they often think, you know what? This is going to be the year. We're going to buy a house this year, honey. And they start scrolling Redfin or Zillow, right? From their couch. That's when the juices start flowing for the buyers. And they start looking at houses. So our system works best throughout the year when we launch it on a Thursday. So every year we list several homes on the 3rd Thursday. And then I inform them that this January, it's going to be a little bit different because in 2026, the 3rd Thursday is actually the 15th of January. And that's too early. So we're actually going to do the 4th Thursday this year. And actually, interestingly, that was the same case this past, 2025. So, but the mission is we want your house on the leading edge of that wave of new inventory that's going to hit the market and your home sells first. Does that make sense? And they go, well, I thought April or May or spring or blah, blah, blah. No. Do we sell more homes in the spring? Yes. But that also means you have more competition in the spring as a seller. Right? So we want to be on the leading edge of that wave. You want to make it sound like there's this looming influx of inventory. Use imagery, right? It's a wave of houses coming on the market, and yours is the first one or on the front edge, right? Let me just share I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Good morning, Allison. So I'll give you a few examples. Like, I listed 2 this year on the 3rd Thursday, or the 4th Thursday, because it was the 15th again. Both of them sold for $200,000 over asking. Does it work? Hell yeah. So I've used this dialogue to simply wait because they could. I've used this dialogue to do moving concierge projects during the 4th quarter and then list in January. You can be very dynamic, right? And pivot and do what's best for your client in the end. So let's just talk for a minute about the fundamental concept of, will a house sell for more in December or January? And the answer is January in any appreciating market, right? Doesn't matter if it's going to increase by 1% or 0.5% or whatever, it's still going up. Add on to that the fact that the only buyers that are looking in December are looking because they have to. That means the buyer pool is smaller as a result, right? So it's totally logical. The main message I wanted to deliver today, though, is you can't be discouraging about selling in the 4th quarter because you don't know yet if the person you're talking to has to sell in the 4th quarter. Does that make sense? All right. That's all I've got today. So I'm ready to open it up to questions, or if anyone has a script that they would like to hear what I would say, I'm happy to share that. Also, in between Fridays, if you know of or have a question, you can go to whatwouldEdSay.com. I've created a custom GPT there. It's loaded with all my scripts, and you can just go in and ask it. Is there any questions? All right, well, we can wrap this one up a little early. I hope you guys have an awesome day. It's Friday. I hope you have a great weekend and a productive weekend. And I'll see you soon.
If you'd like more information or to get connected to the Agent Power Huddle, join our free Facebook group. This call was designed for the agents in our EXP organization, but open to any agent from any brokerage. If you're a guest and you're interested in learning more about EXP or our specific resources within the Agent Collective, reach out to the person who invited you to this call to get more info. Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.